Who needs some toilet paper? Anybody need some toilet paper? Nah. It's Coach Edwards. It's Coronavirus Wednesday, week one. It is March 18th. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Lauren Redfern, first one in. Congratulations. I'm expecting record numbers today and record listeners as we go because everybody's freaking out right now, except me. We're going to talk about that today. For those of my lacrosse families watching me right now or listening to me on iTunes or watching on YouTube, if you head on over to my other Facebook group, which is Raising High-Performing Athletes, I'm doing a talk today on how to thrive in uncertain times, and I think it'll be good for everybody. So everybody who's joining me in my group, I hope the audio is okay. I was trying to get my mic hooked up to my phone here so I don't sound so tinny, so I apologize for that. Those of you listening on the page, you're going to get a little bit of different audio, but either way, I'm happy to have you here. So welcome everybody. Jim Gorman, good to see you. If you're lurking, just post a quick comment, a thumbs up, a like. Hi, Mom. Greg Bernhardt, good to see you. Post a like or a quick comment. Like, tell me where you're from. So far, so good for Suzanne riding her good with her daughter who got that beautiful new Lacrosse Goalie stick. That beautiful. Who saw that in the group, man? Great stuff. Jonathan Redford, good to see you. Patrick Noak, good to see you. Just talked to Patrick Noak's daughter, Kate, on Long Island. Looking to have those guys in Lacrosse Goalie University and coaching them through this uncertain time. A lot of great stuff going on. David Maxey, good to see you, buddy. When people are listening to me on iTunes or, they're hearing me call out these names, I just want to let everybody know when I do these Facebook Lives, people are coming in. It's awesome. Mike Tupin's in. Mike Tupin, hey, buddy. Everybody's dragging their kids in today. Cooper Redfern finally getting on live today. Patrick signed up. She's in. Patrick, I'm going to answer your question today too as well. I'm really looking forward to working with Kate as well. So we're going to get those videos. Jordan Levy, man, long time no see. So holy smokes, everybody. This is awesome. Really excited. Joseph Michael's in. This is cool. Lots to talk about. So listen, for those of you, if this is your first time hearing from me, I'm Coach Edwards, Jonathan Edwards. I am Lacrosse Goalie Tips on Instagram. I run a website called lacrossegoalietips.com. It's the continuously running lacrosse goalie blog on the planet. Not always easy to find because I don't spam Google. I don't do all sorts of weird tricks like that. But I've been talking about goalies and goaltending for about 25 years now. I'm not old school. Jennifer Nat is in. Hi, Coach, at work in a nursing home in New Jersey and watching the Lacrosse Goalie Tips Facebook Live. That is a dedicated goalie parent who is in a nursing home in New Jersey. Like, Jennifer, good to see you. This is fantastic. So, Joel Rose, good to see you, buddy. Hey, so listen, welcome everybody. As you can tell, I'm excited. I'm excited about this week. Rick Reineker's in. I'm excited about this week because I want to help you guys with some things because I know for a lot of families right now, they're kind of freaking out a little bit inside. They're homeschooling and they've already put their kid in detention and they've expelled them from class. I get it. But I don't want everybody to kind of go crazy this first week and then run out of gas. Because we don't really know where this is going to go right now. For a lot of us, for those of you guys know, I'm from Boston, but I live in Canada. What's been really interesting was it was in 4 days. I went to parent-teacher conference, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna have school next week, and then it's gonna be spring break." And then it was like, "Oh, wait, we're not coming to school before spring break, but we'll be back in school after break." But now it's like there's talk of no school all spring, so lacrosse season is kind of hooped. And so I just want And I just want to understand, I want everybody to understand that we've just got to be ready for anything. So what some of you might not know is so my other job is I run athletespecific.com, which is a website geared towards athletes who have big aspirations. So Division I dreams, professional dreams, Olympic dreams, across all sports. I have a 12-week coaching program there. It's pretty heavy duty, pretty expensive. But, one of the things that I talk about with my athletes is being ready for anything. And so for all of you who are parents listening to me, you will also need you're now thrown in this position where you've got to help your athlete be ready for anything because you've got to be ready for anything. And that's hard. I get it. So I want to just kind of shed some light on that today. After this, I want, if you haven't been a member of my other podcast, which is Raising High Performing Athletes, I will be talking to about how to thrive in uncertain times today. So if you want to join me over there, that goes at 2:30 Eastern for everybody who's interested. So Nathan Blood, we will cover your question. Helen Lang Evans, good to see you. Angela Crozie's in. Joseph Michael, did I ever forgive you for living in Canada? Come on. Listen, man, this is like, they just closed our ski hill for I'll have to post a photo, but on Sunday we ski at Sunshine in Banff, and they closed the parks, and so now the one place I thought we could get some physical activity has now been shut down, which just drives me nuts because it's like 8,000 feet. It's freezing cold, not many viruses up there. They were limiting the gondola, which was kind of neat. It made us wait an hour for the gondola up, but then the lifts are all up at the top. So we're kind of disappointed. So, but I just want to say for everybody, I feel your pain, but we're all going to get through this, and our athletes are going to be better for it. And so I just want everybody I want to start on that note today. Okay. So Jen George, good to see you. David Wentworth is in. Jennifer Nat, well, I try to take the lunch on Wednesday. No, Jennifer, I get it. There's like 82-year-old grandparents like my mom who's on this right now who are dying of disease, and you're watching me live. Just kidding. So I'm going to try to keep this a little light today. I want to have it fun. I want to have it, but I want to be positive. I want to get your athletes moving forward. I was on the phone this morning with a goalie from Long Island, and the high school season's done. Now it's kind of a big wait till when does club season start. I anticipate what's going to happen, and is that some of the clubs are going to start doing things in small numbers where allowed. I just sense this. I have a feeling what's going to happen right now is everything's being shut down. Everything's being kind of shut down, and we're worried about social distancing, and I'm all for it. I've been in my house for like a week. I work from home, so it's not really that big of a deal for me. But what I want you to understand is that this is what's going to happen, is that we're going to have these social distancing issues, but then it's going to wane on people. We're going to start to wonder, like, why are we still doing this? And then lacrosse is going to kick in, or any other club is going to kick in, and then that's going to cause a lot of angst. So I just want to prepare you for that, because you're going to want to get your kid out of the house. Your kids are going to want to get out of the house. We're going to have this social distancing thing. We are going to have people who are now teammates who have the virus, and then we're going to have athletes who haven't had the virus for like 3, 4, 5 weeks, and they're going to want to get outside and wondering like why. And so it's going to cause a lot of tension. So I just want everybody kind of be aware of how that's going to go. Melanie, Anna is in. Melanie, your goalie critique will be coming later this evening or tomorrow morning. Just want to give you a heads up there. Vinny Ricasio, good to see you. But I just want to keep everybody positive. So here's one of the things I want you to know. Right now, everybody's home, and we don't know how long this is going to last. And what's going to happen is that right now, everybody's worried about keeping their kid like up to par, up to speed, practicing in the backyard, doing stuff inside, and I just want you to know that energy is going to subside, because you're going to want to, if you're homeschooling your kid, or if you're home with your kid, now this is a really awkward moment. Right? And it's going to cause a lot of tension between parents and kids, because the parents are going to be like, what do you mean you're not doing anything right now? You're watching TV, you're on the computer, get outside, go, do wall ball. Your kid can only do wall ball or rebounder for so much before they are bored silly. Okay. Now, we had a good question. I think Jenna Strickland wrote that motivation comes from inside. Keep your end game in mind while you work on your skills during this break. And I'm all for that, but I just also want everybody to understand that it's going to be really hard to maintain this energy that right now seems really abundant. It's like, yeah, I'll get outside and I'll do rebounder again. But what's going to happen is that's going to wane, and it's okay for it to wane. I see a lot of comments from parents going like, I've already kicked my kid out of homeschool because it's different and it's frustrating. But I just want you to have a little bit of patience with your athlete and know that you're gonna learn. I think it's kind of funny that now everybody's now homeschooling. My son is doing online school with his school. That's a little bit uniform, but we're just kind of letting them be. And I think you're going to get further by letting your kid kind of be than just getting on them being active all day long while you're trying to do work or what little work you can do if you're working from home. So just understand that and realize that it's not sustainable to be all lacrosse mode all the time right now. And just to enjoy the time together as much as you can. Okay, before you start wringing the neck of your goalie, because we don't want any dead goalies by the time we get back for club season, because that would defeat the purpose of what I'm doing here. Dead goalies. I don't want to do that. So let's keep that in mind. So what I wanted to do today, I thought I'd work a little quicker today, maybe burn some questions. And if your athlete is on and they've got a question they want me to cover, then then go ahead and post in the comments. I'll do my best to cover them all. It's just kind of a fun time. So yeah, Susan Reidinger writes, we're cyber schooled from kindergarten, so business as usual, and so that's really interesting. So what I would suggest is if you're homeschooling your kid and you're not used to that, go ahead and go in the group and post some questions. Maybe we can start a little homeschool group on tips on what to do and how you manage. And so Nikki O'Donnell is not dead. Lax for life. Love it. Jennifer Potter Craft writes, I'm really bummed my season has ended. I've been training since last year to become better at goalie so I can be a better athlete on my feet and be faster. Jennifer, I want to share something that, of all the athletes I coach, right? Not just lacrosse goalies, but athletes in other sports, this virus goes in the same category as an injury or a cancellation due to whatever. I've had athletes who are skiers and they show up at a venue and there's no snow. And that is the same thing. So I just want you to be ready for anything, right? And I want you to just be, understand that at the time, none of this makes sense. But all of our kids are going to have this to talk about for the rest of their life, right? This will be remember that time when we were in high school or, junior high and we had the coronavirus thing, and they're going to have lived through. This is something that at the time we don't know why or what or how, but in the future we're going to come back to this and know why. And so for a lot of my senior athletes whose season got canceled, I'm not a very religious person, but I just love this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's man plans and God laughs. Right? So man plans and God laughs. That's totally what it is, right? I've been talking to you guys now for a year. For those of you who've been part of this group, watching my Facebook Lives, it's almost a year. We've got 1,000 members, almost 1,000 members in here now. And, we're all working so hard for this spring and it's just gone, right? So this is going to give us some skill for later on in life. We don't know what it is right now, but who knows? You could have been in a game and gotten your knee busted, gotten in a car accident, going to practice. You just don't know, and that's what makes this so weird. But we can just make the most of it and have it's we won't know till we know. But anyway. So a couple questions today. So one, Nathan Blood is asking, hey, I'm looking for a string pattern for an Eclipse 2 with 20 diamond mesh. Any ideas? Nathan, so this is a general rule of thumb. So Nathan, in our group, Creating the Lacrosse Goalie of the Future, there are photos of people who've gotten sticks strung. 20 diamond is a smaller mesh set compared to most, but my recommendation for stringing is always this: is that you have basically a sidewall lace that is basically one diamond down from the scoop, okay, and then 1 or 2 diamonds down from that, you're going to have a cotton lace. And then 1 or 2 diamonds down from that, you're going to have another cotton lace. With 20 diamond mesh, you can actually do a third mesh or a third lace, cotton lace. But The idea is you're just trying to create that ramp. Now, a guy to reach out to who isn't in the group now is a guy named Rob Warren. You can find him on Facebook. He's a stick stringer. He's in New York. A great guy. Ask him for ideas. You can go there, but that'll probably help you there. So I'm not a fan of the V. I'm a fan of getting my hands and my arms strong to use any pocket, any stick. So keep that in mind. All right. So, Jason Chili Edwards writes, his question was the importance of footwork fundamentals and muscle memory. My daughter trains a good amount, but she hates footwork. Laugh out loud. All right. So one of the things to understand for all of our goalies out there and for all of our parents who have goalies is this idea that, so if you've got my cheat sheets from lacrossegoalietips.com, go ahead, download the cheat sheets. If for some reason you've subscribed and you didn't get the cheat sheets, you can let me know. There's been some people having glitches with that. So if you haven't gotten the cheat sheets, just let me know. If you've got them, maybe leave a comment here that you got them, you liked them, what you learned about them. But in the cheat sheets, one of the things that I talk about is the 3 keys to making any save, right? I got a video on our website at lacrossegoalietips.com about it too. You just go to the search bar, type in 3 keys, and you can find it. But real quick, it goes like this. 3 keys are this. You got to see the ball. If you can't see it, can't stop it. You got to know where it's going. Okay, so a new goalie, a young goalie, doesn't always know what a shooter looks like yet. We want a goalie to develop their shot library or their shooter library where they're learning what a shot looks like coming out of the stick of a shooter, right? And it's true for men and women, right? It's true for boys and girls. If one of my Lacrosse Goalie University members last year was a dad working on his very talented daughter in the backyard, but they were noticing a bit of a discrepancy once game day came around. And it turned out he was actually shooting on her in the backyard with a men's stick, with a pocket, and she's getting shot on with flat pockets from girls. So that's a big difference. It's like speaking 2 different languages. So knowing where the ball is going, that's the second key. The third key, though, is the physical ability, right? And so one of the things that I'm doing now for those of you guys know, I've been a strength and conditioning coach for 20 years as well. And so I write strength and conditioning programs. And for athletes now who are working out at home, I'm doing programs for athletes at home. If that's something you're interested, you can email me, coachedwards@lacrossegoalietips.com. But the idea here is that last key, that moving in front of the ball, is something that holds a lot of athletes back, especially the girls. Okay, so if you've got a girl goalie, they are smart. They're typically smarter than the boys. I will say that out loud. And I want you to understand that just because of hormones and general ability, the girls don't have the peak strength or the fast twitch muscle fiber that the boys do naturally, right? So you've got to be training that. And one of the things that I tell my athletes across all sports is you can't get stuck in the technical side of your sport. And for our goalies, a lot of times goalies will think that they're only getting better if they're getting shot on. And that's not true, right? So right now your goalie's home and they're doing wall ball, they're doing whatever, they're getting shot on maybe by our brother or sister, or they're dodging Great Danes in the backyard. That was like one of the best videos that was posted in the group this week. Was I can't remember who it was, but a kid in the backyard chasing ground balls and getting chased by his Great Dane. Like, that's some awesome defense, right? So I want you to understand that you've got to help your goalie realize that, sometimes getting better physically is going to make them better in the cage. And so for Jason's goalie, the importance of footwork fundamentals, I'll add to that footwork is not just about getting in a ladder and doing footwork. It's actually about getting stronger in the hips, right? So our ability to move our body over our feet, which is what a goalie does, is something that this is kind of the conundrum, I guess. It's this idea that if we do more footwork drills, we're going to get better at footwork. Yes, but you're going to get better getting stronger in the hips first, right? So any strength and conditioning coach will tell you that ladder drills are not really a good use of time. And I've got a post out there. I think it's like 7 drills that are a waste of time for lacrosse goalies. If you go to the website, you can find it. I think it's like 6 or 7. When I started writing it, it was 6. I think it ended up at like 9. But I want you to understand that that getting stronger physically is going to really help your goalie in the cage. A concept that I teach is this idea of like more is not the plan, right? So getting more shots feels good to a goalie, but it might not be the biggest bang for the buck thing that they can be doing right now. So that's something to consider. I know last week I think I talked about goalies going to a gym while they're home on break, and now I know that's getting shut down as well. But I do believe that every person who owns a gym right now is struggling, right? So if you can support them in any way, if they're doing private training like one-on-one in their facility, that can, because they're going to be wiping down everything with like acetone in this thing because they're going to lose their business if depending on how long this goes. Okay, so Jason, understand this. He writes that my daughter trains a good amount, but she hates footwork. Know this, your goalie is getting really good footwork in the cage. In Lacrosse Goalie University, I have a video set where I show, the layers to develop a goalie. And there's some concepts in there that a lot of people don't teach that reinforces, how your goalie is actually improving their footwork while they're getting shot on if they're doing a certain couple things. So just keep that in mind. Don't feel like your goalie has to be doing a different drill than not getting shot on, because every day, all day, I would rather shoot on a goalie and work on footwork in that specific moment than pull them out of the cage and have them over here doing ladder drills. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. If it makes sense, give me a thumbs up, okay? Ray Stewarski's in, Kevin Nelson's in, Billy Brown, Vinny Ricasio. Good to see you guys, okay? Let me get back to Jennifer Pottercraft's question here, which was, okay, Coach, I heard what you said about not forcing your goalies to get on the wall. How often should we be getting out there and practicing since our seasons have been canceled? Jennifer, this is a great question. And it ties into Jenna Strickland's question about motivation. But so here's the thing. If I have an athlete who is happy and wants to go out and do stuff, let him go. I'm guessing from your perspective that your goalie's having trouble getting outside. And so, like I said, though, right now, we're a little unsure as to when we're getting back on the wall. And I want to share with everybody a general level of just kind of understanding that your goalie isn't all of a sudden going to lose their skill if they take a day or 2 or 10 off. I'll be honest. So the most critical thing your goalie can be doing while they're home is, one, thinking about lacrosse, right? Thinking about playing. The mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So when your goalie is in bed falling asleep at night and they're thinking about lacrosse, that's time well spent, right? But also know that sometimes the best improvement comes from taking a break. And for my college goalies this year who were like in the middle of their season and now it's just done, this sucks, right? And for the seniors, I got a couple seniors this year who were ready for big seasons, and now that's just gone. So that's different. But for everybody else who's home now and they're kind of waiting, just know that all of a sudden your goalie's not going to regress 1,000% now that the season's over. What I do recommend is maintaining some sort of schedule while you're home. Every homeschool parent will tell you that one of the best things to have is some sort of schedule, right? So whether that's, okay, they get up at a certain time, because I'm sure your kids are a lot like my kids. If you're on vacation and then there's no real schedule, they get very nocturnal where they'll stay up till like midnight. My son's ridiculous. He'll stay up till like 2:00. And we are of the mind, like, I want my kids to develop autonomy. So, what's really interesting to see is that my son will stay up, a night or two like that, but then he'll realize that he's just dog tired the next day. And then the next night he'll go to bed early, right? So, but having some sort of a regimen is good. But how much is too much? You can't have too much. But, or I should say that you can have too much if you force it. But if you say like, all right, listen, like I posted on Instagram, the 1,000-ball challenge, right? Every day, do 1,000 balls. Like, now I want to just clarify something there. If you're doing wall ball, it's not just the wall ball. It's not just the throwing against the wall and the catch that makes it important. It's the cradle, right? One of the things that, I had a goalie, this was a couple years ago, joined Lacrosse Goalie University, and was brand new to goaltending, but had been working on the wall for like 2 months, I think. That's what they told me. And when I saw them throwing, I was like, there's no way. And so I asked him to send me a video of him working on the wall. And all he was doing was throwing and catching and throwing and catching. It was like a slow quick stick where there's no cradle involved. And I was like, man, of all that time you spent throwing on the wall, you really missed a lot of development time, because it's the cradle. It's the catching off, to your off stick side and bringing the stick around. It's that understanding, the developing the hands of where the stick is in the hand and what the ball is doing in the head of the stick that really helps a goalie improve, right? So if your goalie is just throwing and catching and throwing and catching, and they're not doing anything other than that, they're really not improving. Because you can learn how to throw like a teaspoon like that and never develop. Okay, so Jennifer, how often should you be getting out there and practicing? If your goalie is hungry to get shot on, then go out every day and do it in doses. I've said this a couple times. A goalie getting shot on consistently at about 3 minutes or so needs a break. So what I would encourage everybody to do is work on your goalie on interesting stuff. Have them find a video off of Instagram or off of YouTube, and something fun, something unique, like an underhand shot or behind the back or whatever, and replicate that in the backyard. You need to have novelty in what it is you're doing, or else your goalie is going to get completely burnt out. Okay, so I want you to understand that that's you can go out 4 times a day if you want. You can go out 12 times a day, but just know that it's progression. It's like lifting weights, right? So your goalie needs to be fresh and crisp, because if all you're doing is going in the backyard and saying, like, we're going to take shots for an hour, well, and all they're doing is being sloppy, you're just developing sloppy. Okay, so Nikki O'Donnell writes that I'm in the net every day. That's awesome. Nikki, I'll just add this: as long as you're improving, because if all you're doing is going out there and you're being the same goalie every day, and you're not being intentional about what it is you're working on, right? If you're just taking shots for shots' sake, but you're really sloppy on some of your saves, then that's going to be a problem. Now is a time, though, to have fun with it. Now is a time to get creative, do things that you wouldn't normally do, play with your offhand, pad up so much that that you and drop your stick and have somebody fire lacrosse balls at you, but be like, put on like shoulder pads and pants and shin guards and all this stuff, and just have fun stopping stuff, not trying to be a lacrosse goalie, and that'll really help. Jim Gorman writes, I feel bad for the junior year goalies that don't have tape to send to colleges for recruiting. Jim, that's a great point, and I'm going to share this with everybody. What floors me is that we all have high definition cameras in our pockets. My mom, everybody, Eleanor Edwards, who's on right now in the group, right? If you see Eleanor Edwards, give her a shout out. She videoed every one of my games with one of those VHS camcorders. Looked like a freaking boombox from the 80s, right? It's one of those. Every one of my games. And what I did was I went home after every game and I did my own stats and I took my own footage and I had video. Now, right now, what's weird is that parents have gotten to this thing, like they don't want to look like they're that parent videoing their kid. Dude, video your kid, because Jim, this is exactly why, right? You don't know the coronavirus is coming. But the point is that every goalie should have enough footage of them making saves that that they have something to put together. Okay, so if they don't, they weren't all that keen on becoming a recruitable goalie to begin with. They weren't all that serious, because taking video of yourself every single day is a serious move. Okay, I even had a college goalie this year who is Division I goalie fighting for playing time. And there's a bit of favoritism by the coach going on, and the assistant coaches like this goalie that I've been in contact with, right? And then the other goalie not as good, but the coach was going off of stats. But the one particular game, they missed 2 saves that this other goalie had made, and when you looked at the save percentage alone, the goalie who went back and looked at their video and realized they had 2 more saves, they actually had a better save percentage than the starter. But because they weren't really paying attention, that it didn't, I want you to use video as a teaching tool. I want you to use video as a way for your goalie to get better. And I'll tell you that every game my mom videoed, and every game I watched and I did all my own statistics. That's why you guys have the cheat sheets, is to do all your own statistics. Don't try to do it in game. Do it after the game, and let that be your goalie's homework. So for all the goalies who are on here right now, listen, do your own stats. Learn about yourself. See yourself. Create your own hype tape, right? Create your own hype reel. Because one of the things, for those of you guys who might have seen my video, I've got a whole course on this called the Confidence Course for Athletes. One of the concepts is that confidence comes from past success. It doesn't come, it's not something you generate to then go out tomorrow and be really good. It comes from past success. So for all you parents out there who make hype tapes for your goalies and your goalie kind of laughs that off, don't. Keep making those hype tapes and keep adding them to, because you want your goalie to look back and see successful saves, successful things they did, games they won, and get excited about that so that they go out tomorrow and then they get really pumped up. So a great project to do while you're stuck with the coronavirus is go back through any video you have and create a hype reel, right? You can do one for yourself, and then out of that you can make one that you use for college recruiting, right? So that's Jim. That's you're super sweet thinking like that, but really those juniors need to be on this now, right? And take care of it. Jennifer asks, "Thank you, Coach. Can I get?" Yes, of course, Jennifer. Of course. Yes, of course. And Jennifer, I would love to work with your goalie inside Lacrosse Goalie University. I'd love to coach your goalie. That's what I do. All right. So Matthew Harris is watching. Chaz Carney, good to see you, buddy. Chaz, how's your son? Tell me, how's your son doing? And Nikki's working on his lower left side. Good to see you. All right. So Daniel Guzman writes, plenty of ways to stay in shape at home. Amazon is putting free rush delivery on home gym equipment. Sweet. And I would recommend Rogue, ROGUE, makes some of the finest strength and conditioning equipment around. So if you're going to take this time and actually buy some gear, and you want to buy some really good gear, check out Rogue as well. So Ray Stawarski writes, always better for sport-specific drills to do things live. I like doing everything from the goal. That's cool. So Ray, that's a good point. And I want people to know that. So there's 2 ways to look at this, right? And I covered this a little bit before. Sometimes your goalie thinks that the only way they're getting better is if they're in the cage. Well, that's not totally true. As a coach, I love to do stuff from the goal. Right. And so Ray is the same thing, right? For me, when people go like, oh, what drills should I work on with my goalie? Like, get him in the cage. Like, that's the wrong question in my mind, right? Within the cage, if there's certain things your goalie's trying to work on, that's great. Let's work on it from that. One of the things that confuses people is when they see all these drills that people are doing. These are all created to keep a goalie interested at camp. They're not necessarily the first place to start, right? So that's a big deal. That's a big deal to me. Don't feel like your goalie has to be in the cage to work, but when you're gonna work and you got a cage, go ahead and do do it there. I'm not sure what that box jumping comp is. Daniel Guzman, don't get me started on jumping rope. Go see go see my post on 7 drills that are waste of time for lacrosse goalies. Check that out. All right. No need to be jumping rope right now on break. Don't get me started. Go check out the post. Everything I've said is there. Lori Stratton, good to see you. Rich Hulk is in as well. So a couple questions that I was going to cover today was, all right. So I've kind of covered like what we can do now when you're home. Create a plan, create a schedule. Realize that a goalie can really only take shots for about 3 minutes at a time before they need a break. All right, or else they start getting sloppy. You want to make sure your goalie maintains like a standard of movement. And you know what a goalie is fast twitch. So when your goalie exhibits about a 10% reduction in movement quality, then it's time to stop. Okay. A warm up, movement prep before your goalie gets in the cage, that is designed to stimulate, not annihilate the goalie, right? So if so a lot of times kids are just getting in the cage, and that's fine, I get it. But really, you want the body to be nice and warm and pliable before they go in, so that when they get in the cage, that their movement to the ball is crisp and clean and precise. You don't want them to just be sloppy. And what I see with a lot of camps and a lot of clinics where they're just trying to make goalies like tired, because what most parents think of is like, when their kid comes out of camp and they're hot and sweaty and they're exhausted, that must have been good work. That's not necessarily true. Your goalie might have just spent the last hour, 2, 3, just reinforcing bad movement patterns. And as a goalie, we don't want that. Ray Stewarski raised about plyometrics. So one of the things, Ray, and for everybody else to understand, is that our goalies, we are reinforcing. Jonathan Redfern, I see your comment, and I won't give it any time. So plyometrics are good to a point, but when a goalie is in the cage, is that one of the things when the goalie is in the cage is we're not reinforcing a vertical motion. We're reinforcing a lateral motion, right? So we're exploding laterally, not vertically. And one of the times that goalies get I was going to use the word hurt, but that's not the right word here. Goalies can get in trouble when they're in the cage because they react to a ball. Let's say there's a goal. It's like a 1-on-0 on the goalie, or it's a 1-on-1. It's really close. There's a fake high, and the goalie just explodes up, right? And now they're completely off the ground, or mostly their momentum's up. And what does the shooter do? Just shoots around you. So I'm all for plyometrics, but plyometrics have to be added in progression, right? Or else you're going to have, especially for the girls, because you're going to have knee issues if you're not careful about it. And then we got to move laterally as well. So, like I said earlier on, is I'm writing strength and conditioning programs for my athletes. If that's something that is interested to you, email me, coachedwards@lacrossegoalietips.com, and I can help you with those. Okay. So, but just remember, explosive training is all about quality, not quantity. Augustine Serrano, one good thing with this shutdown as a teacher is that I finally get to tune in again. Good stuff, Coach. Thanks, August. Thanks, Gus. Appreciate that. Jennifer Kraft asked me, Coach, what are you doing in this unfortunate time off? What am I doing? I'm hustling. I've been coaching athletes for a long time, and now is the perfect time for, a lot of times goalies won't work with me in season, which is weird, or in their high school season, because they're so busy. And really the bulk of what I do is fixing what they're being taught by their coaches on the field, even when they've got some good coaches. Like I'm a second voice, and I'm working with coaches like where that's appropriate. But a lot of people have been smart, and they're joining Lacrosse Goalie University and taking this time now where I can do goalie audits. for my athletes who are part, in other sports, who now is the time when we're working on my 12-week mental performance program. And that's a much bigger investment, but it's a really great time. So, we're in Canada. Like those of you guys know, I'm from Boston, but I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And we're like, the city's under lockdown. People are pretty much in, but people are doing stuff, right? There are people working. There was a bit of a spike. It went from like 30 cases to 70 cases. And so everybody's kind of, it's weird. Like we went through the toilet paper, everybody's freaking out on toilet paper. And I'm going to talk about that in my next podcast, in my Raising High Performance Athletes podcast today, like why people went for toilet paper, which is really kind of fascinating. But the idea is that, we're just, people are unsure. Like I'm just kind of curious when businesses can't pay their rents or, people can't pay their mortgages, like it's all going to fall on the banks. And then what's the government, the government's talking about sending out checks to people, but that's only going to last for so long. Right. So I'm really curious to see when this finally, we're going to get opposing forces that we're going to get virus forces, but we're going to get economic forces that all of a sudden collide. I've got clients that are losing their jobs, right? I've got people who are on people who are you are told not to work. I've got people who are sent home waiting for work, and then they've been cut loose because the companies they work for are just not that economically viable. And so, I think of all the temporary workers that are out there for all the, basketball teams and things like that. But it's just a weird time. So what am I doing? I'm working headlong on coaching athletes. I'm working headlong on writing on my book, writing articles, doing a lot of content to help you guys, because I really want your athletes to win when they come back. Right. So so Jennifer, I appreciate the question. That's sweet. One of the questions I wanted to cover, this is great. I've only got a couple minutes left. But this came from Michael Sherman in Washington, D.C. So Michael, I don't know if you're on or not, but he was like, how to be the best goalie dad for my daughter. And so I wanted to just share a couple things with everybody just as a general rule, because we can sometimes get really stuck in specifics and forget just kind of general observations. So I hope this helps Michael and everybody else who's listening. So first and foremost in this coronavirus shutdown is to be patient. I hope to God you're not looking at your kid when they're home and they're in front of the TV or Xbox, or they're on their laptops or iPads or whatever, and you're just inside, you're seething because you're looking at them feeling like they're wasting their life because they're not doing anything productive. Let that go, okay? Let that go. This is unprecedented time, and for adults, we tend to grasp our work to make us busy, to keep our mind off of things. And there's a valid point to that, but don't look at your kid and impose that on them right just yet. Okay. They're going to be fine. They don't need to be practicing in the goal like 24/7 or doing anything else 24/7. If they show a desire, go with that. I would recommend now is a good time to encourage them to maybe do something that they wouldn't normally be doing this time of year. Maybe there's a course online that they'd be interested in. You can go to Skillshare.com, which is a sponsor of mine and is some place to have a look for, photography classes or drawing classes or ukulele classes, whatever it is. I want people to know that it's scary for your kids too. And, my mom actually just made a nice little post at the same time. We're cosmically thinking about the same stuff. How you react through all this is going to affect how they react, not just to this, but to future things. So if you're calm, cool, and collected, then they're going to be calm, cool, and collected. But if you're freaking out, it's probably not the best place to be. Take this time, as my mom writes again, to be close to your kid, right? If you can get in the backyard and play lacrosse with them, and you can joke about how bad you shoot the lacrosse ball, or the tennis ball or whatever ball you're using. Just enjoy that time, because this is really something that you're going to look back on and go, wow, this was great. This was weird. It was fun. We thought we were going to lose our job, lose our house, all that stuff. But, at the end of the day, we survived. And because that's really what's going to happen out of all this. So for Michael to be a good goalie dad for his daughter, focus more on what you want them to do right than what you're trying to avoid them doing wrong. So I see a lot of parents who self-coach their goalies, and they're always picking on the one that went in. And I would love to see you make a video or focus on the saves that they made. Like, I go back to the hype tape I was talking about before. Video their games, video their practices. I don't care if they don't like you videoing them. Video them, cut out the saves, right? And make a hype tape of that, right? So that they can focus on doing more of that. People send me the goals, and we talk about the goals. And when I coach them, we talk about that. But I also remind people not to forget the good saves that they're making, the good stuff that they're doing. So when, goalies aside, when they're home and they're doing something right, focus on the good stuff, right? And not focus on the bad stuff. They're going to be sitting on the couch, right? You got to think, school is mostly daycare, right? Because every homeschool parent will tell you that their kid can get their homework done in about 2.5 hours a day, right? So you send them to school and it's like, what are we doing from 8 to 3, right? So there's a lot of wasted time there. Now they're home and you're going like, well, geez, there's 3 hours out of this. I'd like them to be productive. Outside of that, it's bonus, right? And over the next few days, they're going to get tired of certain things that they're doing a lot of now. And then they're going to get to other things. We've had to put some limits on, my daughter because she'll spend all day on the iPad, right? But we're finding apps and games and things that she's interested in. She's 12, right? That she's really interested in. She's not involved with sports right now. And so we were skiing, but now we can't ski. So, but just don't harp on that stuff. Just enjoy it, the time that you have, and things will be good. So listen. Stay positive, have fun. I'm still going to be here. I'm going to still be part of the group. How about this? How about some homework for everybody who's still listening to me? Put a hype tape together. Have your goalie do that, right? You can use iMovie on any iMac. There's tons of free editing software. And you can, Suzanne writing it right. Cyber is a full day's work. Come on. But maybe this is a good little project for your goalie to do. Is have them put together their save video, and then let's post it inside the group. Let's have some fun with this, okay? Let's be a good community, and because you know what, we got kids that come summer, and I'm hopeful that everything by summer is going to be back to somewhat normal. They're going to be ready to go, and they're going to be hungry, and you're going to be hungry too to get outside and get going, all right, and enjoy the summer. All right, everybody, thanks everybody for watching. Okay, and I hope this helps. And if you're listening on iTunes or if you're watching the replay on YouTube, if I can help you, now's a great time to join Lacrosse Goalie University and get coaching. I do goalie audits, so it's the best investment you're ever going to make. It's going to be the best investment you make in your goalie, even if we work together for just a month. Okay, so please, if you've been sitting on that, now's the time to invest in that, and I can really set your goalie on the right path. Okay, so. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the group. If you got any questions, email me, coachedwards@lacrossegoalietips.com. Take care, and use your toilet paper sparingly. Cheers. Bye.